Evliya Çelebi was an Ottoman traveler who, in the 1600s, traveled through the Ottoman Empire and European territories, noting down what he saw. He compiled these travels in a book called Seyahatname, Book of Travels. According to his own records, he was born on 15th of March 1611 in Unkapanı, Istanbul, and is believed to have died around 1685. Throughout his life, he witnessed the reigns of three different sultans, Murat IV, Sultan Ibrahim, and Mehmet IV. His real name was Derviş Mehmet Zilli. It is thought that he took the name Evliya from his medrese teacher, Imam Evliya Mehmet Efendi. Çelebi is a title used in the Ottoman Empire for noble, elegant, educated and cultured individuals, such as divan poets or bureaucrats, who had received palace or medrese education. He frequently identified himself as a bachelor, mücerret in Turkish, or used titles synonymous with dervishes, such as fakir, which means poor, and hakir, which means lovely. Researchers state there is a very high probability that he was indeed a dervish, just like his father. He studied at the Şeyhülislam Hamit Efendi Medrese for 7 years, followed by 4 years at the Enderun, which is the palace school. There he learned calligraphy, music and Islamic sciences, eventually becoming a hafiz, which is the one who has memorized the Quran. In his youth, his talents led him to be presented to Sultan Murat IV. He served as a musahib, which is conversational companion in the palace, entertaining the Sultan with his wit and storytelling. Evliya Çelebi's Seyahatname is not merely a travel guide. It is a panoramic photograph of the 17th century Ottoman world, an anthropological dictionary, and a massive example of the art of storytelling, which is meddahlık. The literary style of the work departs radically from classical Ottoman historiography. Despite his literary fantasies, Evliya Çelebi followed a specific narrative template for every city. This discipline ensures that the work remains organized despite its enormous volume. Evliya did not rely solely on his observations. Before describing a place, he examined old history books, endowment deeds, and land registry records in libraries. By combining written sources with oral culture, he created a multidisciplinary text. It was impossible for him to personally finance these travels, which lasted over 40 years. He achieved this by entering the service of many high-ranking statesmen as an imam, müezzin, courier, clerk or companion, including his relative Grand Vizier Melek Ahmet Pasha. As the Pasha's duty stations changed, he traveled the world alongside them.
He writes that on August 19, 1630, he saw the Prophet Muhammad in a dream. In his excitement, instead of saying,
Şefaat ya Resulullah,
which means intercession, O Messenger of Allah, he accidentally said,
Seyahat ya Resulullah,
which means travel, O Messenger of Allah, and received the Prophet's approval. Historians note that this dream motif was frequently used in Islamic societies to legitimize one's actions. He first explored every corner of Istanbul. In 1640, he went to Bursa without his father's permission. Upon his return, his father was angry but advised him, "Since you are going to travel, at least keep notes on the places you visit and see." He describes Erzurum's famous winter. A cat freezes in mid-air while jumping from roof to roof. When spring arrives, it thaws out, says meow, and continues on its way. It emphasizes Evliya's famous art of hyperbole, which is mübalağa in Turkish. While describing the magnificence of the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, he depicts the states of the crowds and dervishes there. Also in this volume, he claims the water of the Dead Sea, Lut Lake in Turkish, is so salty that a person would not sink. One could lay down a mattress and quilt on top of it and sleep. The emphasis was geographical wonders and the grandeur of religious centers. The official and literary language of the Ottoman Empire during that period was generally extremely heavy, ornate, and full of wordplay. However, Evliya Çelebi preferred a fluent and sincere style close to the spoken language. Despite his palace education, he brought the language of the street, the market, and the soldier into the work. He noted the speech patterns, local dialects, and even the unique slang of the people in the regions he visited. This feature makes the work an unparalleled resource of Turkish dialectology. This volume is about local beliefs or descriptions of strange creatures encountered in the Iranian geography, particularly his accounts of feasts in the Shah's palace in Isfahan and legends he heard, such as elephant-eared people, which he narrated as if they were true. The emphasis was the mystery of the East and palace life. The Seyahatname was not written with pure realism in mind. Evliya Çelebi had a profound interest in the strange and wondrous. When describing a city's history, he does not merely recount its conquest. He also details the city's talismanic stones, hagiographic legends of saints, or local witch rituals. Historians suggest that Evliya blended what he saw with what he heard or imagined. This transforms the work from a dry history book into a true art of narrative. This volume details his encounters with the Cossacks during northern campaigns. He was particularly astonished by the incorrupt mummified saints beneath the churches in Kiev, and interpreted this phenomenon through his own world of faith. Upon visiting Amsterdam, or relaying accounts from those who had, he was amazed by the city's organization, its canals, and the cleanliness of its people. Describing the narrowness of the houses and the tax system, he remarked, "This is like another world." This acts as a first look at Western European modernization. In a Vienna hospital, he observed a skull surgery, also known as trepanation, performed by drilling into the bone, documenting it second by second. He praised the mastery of the doctors and described the massive books in the Austrian emperor's library. This shows his interest in science and medicine. This volume shows his admiration for the architecture of the Acropolis and the Parthenon in Athens, which was being used as a mosque at the time. He spoke of it as if it were one of the seven wonders of the world, vividly describing the colossal nature of its columns. On his Hajj journey, he did not take a direct route to the Hajj. Instead, he followed an incredibly zigzagged and long path through Bursa, Kütahya, Izmir, Chios, the Menteşe coast, Rhodes, Adana, Maraş, Antep, and Syria. He describes the figs and grapes of Izmir with mouth-watering detail. He then recounts the plight of caravans struggling with thirst in the desert and the profound spiritual shaking he felt upon first seeing the Kaaba. The emphasis is culinary stops and spiritual heights. Evliya Çelebi sees crocodiles while traveling the Nile River. He compares them to dragon hatchlings. He describes how locals charmed crocodiles and recounts seeing giant hippos. Furthermore, he provides detailed anthropological observations on the unique attire of tribes in Sudan and Somalia. The emphasis is the exotic world and anthropological observations.
It is thought that Evliya Çelebi, who moved to Egypt after his Hajj duty and traveled through the Sudan and Abyssinia, completed his 10-volume Seyahatname in Egypt during the final years of his life. The 10th volume ends suddenly, suggesting that the author didn't have enough time to fully conclude or polish the work. In conclusion, Evliya Çelebi's Seyahatname is more than a record of journeys. It is one of the rare Ottoman works that brings everyday life, ordinary people, local customs, spoken language, food, clothing, beliefs, and humor into the center of the narrative. In the Ottoman Empire, there are not many surviving examples of daily accounts, personal biographies, or texts that describe common people in such vivid detail. This makes the Seyahatname especially valuable. Even when Evliya exaggerates or mixes reality with imagination, he preserves a living portrait of 17th century Ottoman world that official histories often leave out. For this reason, his work remains not only as a travel book, but also a unique cultural memory of an empire and its people.